Okay, Sarah, thank you for joining me. Not Nosy, Just Curious podcast. I really appreciate you taking the time to do this. I
Happy to be here.
understand you are a professional. You're busy. You got a baby. My question to you is, has there been one person in your life that believed in you passionately and influenced you?
A couple, definitely. I mean, my mom, I want to say. However, there was a bit there along my journey where she probably wasn't confident that I was going to make it. But then also, especially back like when I was using drugs, my one of my very best friends who I met in that world, we're still friends today, but he was somebody that even when I was like a mess has always believed that I would come out of it and make it. And yeah, so definitely his name's Carlos, my best friend Carlos. And then once I met my husband, he's definitely somebody also.
Well, that's sweet. So, how did you and Carlos maintain this relationship when you were trying to take a different path? Was he on the same path? I mean, he just
He's
dragged
on
you
the same
along?
path. He is somebody, I mean, there's certain times I haven't had this happen many times in my life, but with Carlos, he's somebody that I've met and I feel, I don't know what your beliefs are, but I feel that him and I have lived many lives together. We've been, connected many times. And he and I are like the same person. We are very similar. We met when we were both really in our addictions, and he's unfortunately still he's in prison right now, so we still talk, we keep in touch. And he's 11 years older than me, so he's been like, doing it longer, harder to get out of that type of thing. But I just kind of would keep my distance. When he's in jail or when he was in prison, we would talk a lot, and then when he'd be out, if he was using, I wouldn't talk to him. And that was just kind of the like relationship that we've maintained since me getting sober 12 years ago.
So, Sarah, do you believe that to get sober, you need to hit rock bottom, or you just need somebody that believes?
You know, I believe that in order to get sober, you have to hit rock bottom, but that rock bottom can look different for everybody. You
Oh,
know what I mean?
absolutely.
Like, not
Absolutely.
everybody, somebody's rock bottom, somebody else might look at and be like, really, that's it? Or vice versa. You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
I think that ultimately, in order to get sober, the person has to believe in it first. It doesn't matter if other people believe in you. You ultimately have to have that belief and that realization within yourself, or something that like triggers you to even want to do it.
I noticed too, Sarah, you are a firm believer in failure being crippling. Were you afraid when you were in that, going down that path, you might fail, or was failing important to succeed?
Well, I find that I think that failure is super important to in order to be successful. Do you mean like down the path of addiction? Like, did I
Yes,
feel that
yes,
way?
yeah.
I feel like at that time in my life, I mean, I started using at such a young age, that I didn't think that success was even a possibility. So it was just
No,
kind of like what I expected from myself at that time.
really. And what do you think swung you around? I mean, what pulled you out of that quagmire? How did you look at yourself and you go, I'm better than this?
I got pregnant and I had
Mhm.
my daughter. Yeah. And I was, so my oldest daughter, she'll be 11 in April. And I got sober with her. Initially, I mean, it wasn't like the pregnancy at first that triggered it for me. I actually continued to use through a part of my pregnancy, and I wasn't planning on having a baby. And there was a lot there where like everybody was like, you can't have this baby. Carlos was one of the only people that was like, you're having this baby. And even if we have to give her up for adoption, like, you're going to have the baby. And everybody else in my life was like, this is a bad idea. Like, you should not.
Mhm.
And so I wasn't planning to do it. And then lo and behold, it was kind of like divine intervention. I ended up getting arrested when I was like 15 weeks pregnant, and I spent a lot of my juvenile life in and out of juvenile facilities. So I kind of knew that if I didn't get sober, it would be an in and out situation. And I mean, I can't credit it to anything other than divine intervention, because something just clicked in my brain. And I was like, if I don't get sober, I'm going to have this baby in prison. And that's what did it for me. I don't know.
I respect you're so transparent. You don't try to gloss over any of this.
Yeah,
You,
thanks.
yeah, it's gut wrenching, and then you go from there to become quite successful. Now, did your daughter teach you lessons? Have you learned some major lessons from your daughters?
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, I always say I mean, I was 20 when I had my daughter, almost 21. So I'm 31 now. And I feel like, I always say that like her and I kind of grew up together. You know what I
Mhm,
mean? Like
mhm.
I feel like I mean, I didn't feel like I knew anything about life when I had her. I certainly didn't know anything about being a mom, and somehow just magically was able to do it, and like become a really good mom. And of course I had the support of my mom at the time, and she's a great mom and very supportive. And um but I mean, I've learned ultimately the biggest lesson, and I don't even know if it's a lesson, but my daughters are what gave me self-worth. I had like no concept of self-worth before having her, and it really made me realize that I had something to live for.
Yeah, that's nice. So, in the process of going, doing this, circling the drain, and coming out of it a champion, when do you realize your path will now be I have such trouble saying this word. Say it for
Oh,
me.
esthetician.
Yes. How did you know there was your interest? How did you know that I'm going to do that?
Yeah, well, I've always loved like, skincare. And when I was like a teenager and stuff, or younger even, I would do like DIY, like, masks at home and stuff. So I always kind of had an interest in it. I've always hated school. It's just not my thing. Like I
Mhm.
cannot, it's just not for me. I didn't like college, like, none of it. And so I actually didn't even go to high school. I got my GED when I was like 16, never went to any sort of other schooling. So when I had my daughter, I ended up going to esthetician school when she was 1.5, just because I was like, I need to figure out like what the hell I'm going to do. Like I have this baby, like I need to figure something out, and I don't want to go to school. And so it just kind of made sense, really. I mean, I don't really have any other answer. It just was
Yeah.
something that I was like really interested in. I was like, I'm going to do it.
And when you were in school, were you a sponge? Was this completely a different learning experience for you? Was this exciting?
Yeah, and it was interesting. I think that's the thing, and I went to school specifically for like medical aesthetics, so like
Mhm.
lasers, the more medical aspect of things. So in this, like, it was just all very interesting to me. And there's of course things in esthetician school even where I was like, I don't really care for this, like waxing, for example, or you know what I mean, or just certain
Right.
things. But yeah, it was a really fun experience.
That can be tricky too, though, right? The lasers and stuff. I mean, you have to know what you're doing.
Oh, certainly. Yeah, absolutely. And
And I'm sorry, go
oh,
ahead. I didn't mean.
no, you go ahead. What were you going to say?
And you've built this business just grinding away, doing what you had to do, because at the time, being a single mom, you knew you had to support. And you had no fear of failure at that point.
Well, I didn't start my business right away. So initially I like went to esthetician school. I had a couple jobs as an esthetician, and I worked at this one medical spa in downtown Denver. That is really where I learned a lot of like what I know. You know, yeah, that's what I'll say about that. It was a great place to work. And I met my husband now in 2017. So it was kind of all around that same time. That's when I graduated esthetician school. And so yeah, from there, I ended up starting my business during COVID. I had like a disagreement with my boss right after the shutdown happened, and I've never really been a good employee. I have a hard time being told what to do, and I like to do things my own way.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
so when COVID happened and we had the shutdown, they, had this meeting, and I was questioning them, and they didn't like that, and they fired me. And it was like right when the shutdown happened. And so at that time, I was like, what am I going to do? It's COVID. Like, here we are, not knowing what's going to happen with the world. And, and I loved working there. So that was the other thing too. I mean, I was a little bit heartbroken about it because I was like, I loved that. Like, I thought we were kind of like a family.
Mhm.
And but I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, go get a job somewhere else and just like start over and build a clientele again and stuff? Like, no. So I just was like, all right, well, I filed for unemployment, and I used like my extra unemployment and my stimulus to start my business.
Yeah, there you go. You were resourceful. I mean, sometimes when you're backed in that corner and you're thinking, what am I going to do? I can't do this. Something
Mhm.
miraculous happens and you come out of that corner a champion, beating your chest like, I did this.
Yeah.
So, I mean, as dark as it gets sometimes, time will eventually make it so much better. And you'll look back and go, why didn't I do that 5 years ago? Or what was I so afraid of? Or change, like you said, I've heard you say, change paralyzes. Sometimes you're so afraid to move forward that you just stay in this comfort zone that's so toxic,
Mhm.
you know?
Mhm.
And especially women do this a lot. But I just find, sometimes that fear can be good. It can be liberating.
Yeah, I think it's either one or the other. It can either be paralyzing or it can be motivating, and sometimes it's maybe a little bit of both. At first, maybe, it's really scary and you're like, oh shit, like don't know what to do. And then on the flip side, that is what can catapult you into that next like
Right.
level, so to speak.
Are you impatient?
I'd like to say no, but probably a little
I
impatient.
mean, like if something's happening, are you right away trying to figure it out and get it solved when if you gave yourself a little time, it would solve itself sometimes?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
I find myself right away, oh, I got to fix this right away when
Yeah.
and getting really worked up over it and losing sleep when if I would have just stepped back from it a little bit, it would have handled itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so I
can
get very
relate.
impatient too. So do you have I mean, like your daughters must influence you every day. Your whole day probably is surrounded by your children. Do you have a long range plan for when the kids are gone?
No. I mean, not at this time at least. I just had a baby, my second baby,
Right.
and she's 8 weeks. Um
Congratulations to you.
Things. We were one and done, and then surprise, so here
Uh-huh.
we are.
Yeah.
But no, it's been really incredible. No, I don't. I know I started a second business, like an online high ticket sales business, when I found out I was pregnant with my second daughter, because I was like, granted, I love aesthetics, I love what I do, but I don't want to have to depend all the time on work, you know what I mean, and stuff that I have to
Mhm.
physically do for work, being a mom of a baby again. And so I'm kind of building that business now too, and I don't really know what's to come. I definitely know that my goal right now is to basically have my spa as like a passion project, because I love
Mhm.
it and I want to do it, but I don't want to have to like rely on it for money. I want to be able to, travel and do things and like give my daughters those types of experiences that I wasn't able to have. So as far as long term after kids, I don't know. That feels very far away right now.
Right.
But
So
yeah.
do you do your job for the money or for the enjoyment?
I mean, a little bit of both. I always say, in regards to work, I don't think that anybody, my personal belief, I don't think that anybody should do anything that they don't want to do. I think that that makes it very, difficult to show up, and then you have resentment, and there's so many people that I feel like are trapped in that cycle with their jobs.
Right.
So, I mean, I make good money as an esthetician, but that's not really
That's
why
not what
I do it.
motivates.
Yeah. And I make sure, especially in having my own business, I've really curated it to be something that I always enjoy doing. Like, I don't do any services I don't like. I won't
Okay,
work with
fair enough.
clients I don't like. Um
Really?
yeah, I haven't had the experience to have to like fire somebody, but I would if it had happened.
If it
But
presented itself, if you got
yeah.
a client and they were a little indignant or a little dissatisfied, would you decide,
Yes.
I'm not doing them again?
I mean, not necessarily dissatisfied. I always want people to be satisfied with their services with me. So, especially if it was that type of situation, I would try to make it work or see how I could
Mm,
make it right and kind of rectify that situation. But if somebody was a little crazy or like very difficult to work with, or, just mean, nasty, like that's not the type, condescending, that sort of thing, that's just not the type of energy I'll tolerate.
oh, okay. So, Sarah, are you a fixer?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah.
Hmm. I'm
Do
definitely
you,
a doer. I'm definitely a like get shit type done type of individual, you know?
so do you attack the jobs or do you strategize?
Hmm. Good question. I would say it depends on the job. The
Yeah.
nature of what I'm doing. Sometimes I would probably attack and then other times strategic. I think I tend to be a more reactive person, so I'm very
Mhm.
much a like do it
Right.
and then if it doesn't work out, then I strategize, you know.
Right, right, right. Yeah. If at first you don't succeed, try. Yeah. I'm more
Yeah.
of an attacker myself,
Yeah.
sadly. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, yeah. Something makes me think the wall should be pink and it'll be fine pink. I'm just going to go ahead and paint the whole wall. And then, oops, I don't like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't strategize very well. I'm more of an attacker, but
Yeah.
yeah. So, in closing, this was delightful, and I'm very grateful for you taking the time to do this.
Yeah.
Um, do you have anything very profound in closing to say as words of wisdom to your daughters?
Oh, to my daughters. Dang, you really put me on the spot.
Yeah, I thought, oh, she's got something ready. I bet I'm going to have to circle this a little bit, and I'm going to have to bring it back around.
I mean, ultimately for them and like I said, I really want I hope that I'm able to provide them with a life to set them up to do anything and everything that their hearts desire. I'm not sure if that's profound, but that is my goal in life. And I hope that they can always live out their dreams and just, be happy. That's what I want for
So
them
you
and
want to
for
provide
myself.
experiences for them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And allow
great.
them to really decide who they are as individuals.
Yeah,
And
that's fair. Yeah.
yeah.
It's great having daughters, let me tell you.
Yeah. Do you have kids?
I have daughters, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great having daughters.
It is.
Sarah, would you do this again with me?
Yeah, absolutely. This was great.
You were very transparent. You were very raw at times. You had answers, man. I couldn't back you into no corners. So, oh, and yeah, I would like to touch base again if you don't mind.
Yeah, let's do it. You let me
One,
know.
I will. I'm coming for you.
Okay. Yeah,
All
sounds
right.
good.
Say goodbye.
All right. Well, bye. It was great being here. Thanks for
You
having
too.
me.
Thank
All
you.
right. Take care.
Bye bye.